Recording button is still going, so now we are recording. We are set to go.
Got it. So welcome to 2021 Parent Registration Night. This one is a concentration on our new upcoming freshmen from next year. So you should be an Orting Middle School Falcon at this time, looking forward to turning into a Cardinal, right? Okay, just want to introduce a few different people. I'm Cliff Reese, I'm the principal at the high school. I've been here, this is year 20 for me. I started here as a teacher. For some of you that are on the screen, then moved into the central office into teacher on special assignment roles, became assistant principal and now principal. So been here for a while and I'm proud of the Orting community. I'm proud to have my children as part of it. Matt and counselors, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Matt Carlson, assistant principal, and I've lived here in Orting since 2007. My kids are attending the Orting schools, and I'm really excited to have both Cliff and I have our daughters coming up from 8th grade to 9th grade. So my wife said, do I need to go to the meeting tonight? I said, I think we got this one covered. So we were right there with you. We're going to roll up our first freshman into high school, and I know I can, oh, it might be my microphone, so I might have to leave the meeting and come back.
That's a great reminder. Anyone who's not speaking, if you can mute your microphone, it'll prevent feedback in your different speaker systems so that others don't get feedback. So have everyone mute your mic, and how you do that is you just kind of hover over your screen in the lower left or the lower center. You'll see a little picture of a microphone, and you could.
I'm Shelley Smith. I'm a counselor at Orting High School. I had many of your kids back at Ptarmigan Ridge, so I get the blessing to get you all back again. This is my 22nd or 23rd year as a counselor in Orting, and I'm a proud parent of a daughter at Orting High School Cardinal, and love it being here, and I'm so excited about you guys coming up to be a Cardinal.
Good evening. I'm Josh Thayer. I'm the other counselor, L through Z. I don't have any kids yet. I have a little dog. Grew up down the road. This is my first year as an Orting Cardinal. So I'm super excited. We're all in this together. And welcome.
And I'm Miss Nelson. I'm the graduation specialist. I work primarily with juniors and seniors, college-bound scholars, first generation students. And I've been a school counselor for about 15 years. I've been in the Orting School District for 5 years, and I absolutely love what I do.
Thank you, guys. Also, in addition to that, not here tonight because he's covering an athletic event, a volleyball game. Mr. Parkhurst, who's our athletic director, he'll be retiring this year, so we'll be looking at a new athletic director for next year. And then we have Keith Strasberg. She's the gal that you'll call down in the counseling center for registration purposes. Trina Garrison, just so everyone knows, is our PTE president. Started in the middle school 2 years ago, so some of you might be familiar, but that's our kind of the PTA of our high school here. Is our PTE, so that's our parent organization, board recognized. All right, so a few things I want to talk about. Just first of all, is the high school that your students are about to enter. One of the things that Matt and I have fought over the years here is the perception that Orting students have, or the perceptions that others have around the Orting High School experience, or the Orting education in general. So you know, every year the Washington School Improvement Framework happens. That's where they rate all Washington State schools against each other and against the standard. It hasn't happened in the last year, so we've got a little bit old data because SBA was canceled last year, which was one of the primary means. But I just want to let you know where we've been over the last few years as a cohort. On this screen, you can see all students have went up each year. And then broken down by race, both Matt, myself, and our staff don't consider ourselves successful unless all students are succeeding. So one of the things we like to look at is disaggregate populations to make sure that all our students are succeeding. And you'll see that we're going up in virtually all areas with all students. Those colors that you see, the blues, once we are in blue in all areas, we will be the first comprehensive high school in Washington State to receive their new award of distinction at the Washington State level. So we're really looking forward to that. We're striving for that. So we're hoping our new data, I'm actually really excited that we'll actually take the state test this year, which I haven't liked in the past. I want the hard work of our teachers and students to be recognized. So I'm really looking forward to at the top there. We're fairly competitive. This is the Washington School Improvement rankings for everyone around us in our region. You'll see Orting there is at 7.9 along with White River, Eatonville. Puyallups at 8.1. Silicon High School is also at 8.1. They're doing very well. Everyone else around us regionally, you'll see, is ranked below us. Surprises a lot of people. A lot of people have pride in our sports and some of the things we do, which are very good. Our extracurriculars and our co-curriculars. What they don't realize is Orting has a very, very strong education that's recognized by the state. Mr. Carlson, I talked to you for a minute about kind of your role as a parent. I know when you're transitioning kids from middle school to high school, graduation requirements and scheduling, all that kind of freaks parents out because you're worried if I don't pay attention to something, my kid's not going to graduate because I don't know what courses are required anymore. I barely got myself through high school, right? So all of that, we want to tell you, we want to put your mind at ease that we have a lot of safety measures in place. Our graduation rate continues to climb every year. We had a record our last graduation rate previous to COVID was one of the highest in the region. We just crested over the 95% in graduation rates. So we did very, very well. Last year we did even higher, but it was kind of COVID grading, so I don't know if I really want to hang my hat on that one. Matt, you want to go ahead and talk about the role of student parent?
Yeah, the first part of this slide just really talks about the responsibility that our counseling staff has. And I was a former school counselor here at the high school prior to becoming an administrator. And I can tell you that one of the most stressful things as a high school counselor, and also one of the things that gives us the most joy, is working with individual students to check off their graduation requirements as they go through high school, grades 9 through 12. I can tell you that our counseling staff does a phenomenal job. We meet continuously throughout the year, especially in this last year, especially with this pandemic and the way we're doing remote learning. We've been in a lot of meetings tracking each individual student's graduation requirements. I want to ensure you that students' graduation requirements we track at an individual level in this building every year. Our counselors begin that work. And then as we get closer to graduation, anyone who is that we're concerned about or has questions about meeting those grad requirements, our counseling team will reach out to you as a family, schedule meetings, and discuss that. So we want you to know that we pride ourselves, and that's our number one responsibility, is to make sure from this group that your students know how to chart the path towards graduation. And part of our work with you as parents is to help to inform you tonight of that same information so that you can chart at home, which leads to that conversation at home. Many of us had that question asked of us as we were growing up: what do you want to do when you're older? We know from career research that students that are age 14, many of them, most of them, however they answer that question at age 14 is not going to be how they answer that question at age 18. Career development is a process. It involves learning about what we're good at. It involves learning what we like what we're interested in. And it also involves learning about kind of what our learning styles are, who we work well with and don't work well with, where we work well with, and that kind of thing. And that's a process. And one of the places it begins is in the conversations you have in the home. Most kids' career development begins in the home, where they see the jobs and careers that their parents, their grandparents, their aunts and uncles, those careers that they're involved in. So one way that we here will begin to help kids explore is we use a program called Career Cruising. Career Cruising has a lot of career development that our counseling team begins in middle school and high school to explore careers and interests for kids. And we do that work here in the school district starting in grade 7 all the way up through grade 12. At home, what we encourage you to do, especially as kids transition to high school, we're going to give you some information tonight that you can use as talking points with your kids beyond just the question of what do you want to do after high school, but actually sit down and start to do some planning with your kids about course selection, in addition to what's the final destination. And what you're going to hear from us is that we want kids to dream big, and we do not value one career path or graduation path over another. You will never hear Mr. Freezer or I say a four-year university is the way every kid should go. I just want to start right there. That's going to be the way that some of our students should go, definitely. You're also going to hear that there are pathways that kids can choose to pursue that are just as valuable, whether that's the trades, technical college, some of the developing career fields around aerospace. There are many, many great careers in our area that kids can pursue. So we want them to dream big. we want you to spend the next 4 years dreaming with your kids, having conversations with them, and encouraging them to visit local technical colleges, community colleges, go spend a day on the job. Any of those activities is part of career development, even if it means going with mom and dad to work. And right now I know that that looks a little different for some of us. So, but then the last thing is just protecting. We want to protect protecting adult from teenager mistakes, right? So we want, what that means is we want to try and give as much wisdom to our kids so that they're thinking through towards the future and what they do. And so they'll get guidance from us, and we want you to be having that conversation at home. And
those are the secondary educational pathways Matt discussed. As you hear those, we talk about trades, military, competitive university versus university. So when we say competitive university, that means you're looking at an Ivy League school. And then university would be something that, like a state school, Central, Eastern, Boise State, things like that. And then local two-year colleges, which are now, as we think of as two-year colleges, they're actually virtually all four-year colleges now. So all the colleges that we have around us, the kind of the community college idea or the two-year college, although they do offer AAs, virtually all of them are four-year colleges now. Josh, I believe, is going to go over, these are the graduation requirements in a very, very simple form if you want to know what does it take to graduate in Washington State. You're muted, Mr. Thayer.
Yeah, thank you. We work really hard, as it was mentioned before, to make sure that your kid is on track to graduate. And so every student needs to, in order to graduate from high school into the state of Washington, is they need 24 credits to graduate. And it's broken down into different areas. So you need 4 credits in English. The big surprise, that's 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. 3 credits in math, social studies, all the way down. I wanted to touch on the physical education, 1.5 in PE, a 0.5 in health. So your student is going to be, their freshman year will have a year of health and fitness. Half of that, or a 0.5, will be in health, and the other 0.5 will be in that PE. Art, 2 credits. That can be altered a little bit based off of the pathway esque, and then the world language also. So an elective can be really anything. So if you're looking at a competitive university, that could be that 3rd year of a world language or anything like that. Okay. Ooh, can club sports count as PE credits? We definitely can do a PE waiver. Club sports, what kind of club sports are we thinking about? If they're doing a club sport, hopefully they're doing like, if it's a club sport, wrestling, or hopefully they're doing volleyball here. And then we could definitely do a PE waiver. Back to you guys.
Yeah, so both Heidi and Megan, yeah, volleyball, those can obviously be counted for a waiver. And I know they're both going to do school as well, so that'll be taken care of quite easily, yeah. And so what that is for those of you that are wondering, you don't get a credit for playing the sport, you can waive it. So what, I'm just going to use the first person to ask it, which is Miss Hannes. So Miss Hannes's daughter might say, I'm only going to take my freshman PE class with health in it, and instead I'm pursuing engineering, so I want to take an extra STEM class, so I don't want to take that second PE class. So based on what the student wants to do in their future, we can waive a few credits, those ones with asterisks on them, in pursuit of their high school and beyond plan. Okay, next slide. Mr. Carlson, keep that up for me.
Just one question real quick we had in the chat was, why were the asterisks next to world language and art? And Josh, Mr. Thayer, you alluded to that a little bit about we call it we use the term substitute, but the state uses the term personal pathway requirement. And it means that in our case, a student may waive 2 years of a world language, or not waive, choose to substitute 2 years of a world language for 2 other classes, like Mr. Freeze talked about. It could be, I want to go to the Skills Center, for example, my junior and senior year, and the only way to make that work is I can't fit those 2 years of a world language into my 4 years of high school. but because I'm not going to go to a 4-year university after high school, the 2 years of world language are not required, and so therefore we could substitute those skill center courses with the world language courses. That's why there's an asterisk, and the second year of fine art is the same way.
So one of the questions was, what constitutes as a credit? So when we talk about English, a full year, a full 180 days would be a 1.0 credit. A half a credit would be a semester 90-day period. So your student in 9th grade, the first semester of 9th grade English, they will have a 0.5. That second semester, they will have that the other 0.5 for a 1.0 in English. Same with math, same with social studies, and so on.
And the big lesson there I see a lot of 8th graders staring at me. 8th graders need to understand that there are 24 credits to graduate. You also need to understand there are only 24 classes in 4 years. So what that means is there's not opportunity built in for failure. So you have to pass all your classes to graduate. So you have 6 classes per year. You have to pass all 6, all 4 years. Otherwise, we have different fail-safes, which involve you going to a 7th period after school, going to summer school, or coming back for a 5th-year senior, which is not an option you want to pursue. So that's something to understand for both parents and students. So we have 24 credits, and we have 24 opportunities to get those credits. So a lot of schools choose to build in failure. What we found when we built in failure, if you give 3 opportunities to fail, guess what? Students will fail 3 times. So 0 opportunities to fail, kids just get over the line and they don't fail. So that's worked really well for us, but that's something you understand. It's a pretty tight system. All right, next up, I'm not going to go over all these boxes. This graphic is just to tell you, we get a lot of questions about math, and you stress about math many times in the freshman and sophomore year. There are math pathways that do not lead to university, and there are paths that lead to university. What we've built here is that students can say they are not university bound and change their mind all the way up to their senior year, and they can still enter back into a math pathway that gets them into university. By the time every kid graduates, they will take a senior year math that will give them university or college credit, and that's built in across the system for all students. So that's just what we've done, and that's some changes we made recently in mathematics. Now I want to ask Ms. Nelson to discuss the High School and Beyond plan that you heard Matt talk about.
Yes, the High School and Beyond plan is a state-mandated graduation requirement. So when we talk about the High School and Beyond plan, we talk about that all the way from 7th grade to 12th grade. And there are pieces of criteria that each student must meet before they graduate high school. And what we're looking for is we want to make sure that our students, before they graduate, know what they want to do post-high school. So there's, as you can see on the screen, there's a career interest inventory that's typically done through Career Cruising, Zello or Career Cruising. There's an individual career plan or goal that the student must, by the time they graduate high school, they must determine what that individual plan and career goal is and the education and training associated with it. Also, we lots of times will give information about financial aid. Most of it's going to come to you guys either at the end of junior year and the beginning of senior year, and I'm the person that gives you that information. The 4-year high school course plan, when your student starts to enter their courses into Skyward this year, when it does come time for registration, that's going to be part of their 4-year high school course plan. Of course, when we're looking at the course plan, we want to make sure that our students are looking at classes that will coincide with what they might want to do after high school. And as we know, students, like Mr. Carlson said, will change their minds. It's not written in stone, but we do want them to look at that course plan and think about what they want to do post-high school. And then there's options for satisfying graduation pathways. The main option is the Smarter Balanced Assessment at a level 3 or higher. And you guys will all understand this language, the students especially, because counselors will be coming into classes to talk to the students about their High School and Beyond plan throughout high school. There's a resume involved. Students hopefully will have a lot of activities that they've done that they can put on their resume. It doesn't necessarily have to be that they've had a job or those types of things. And we do ask that our students do community service. Of course, in the land of COVID, that's kind of been a stretch for our students, but in the years to come, we're really hopeful that our kids are able to do community service. And so those are the elements of the High School and Beyond plan, and your students will learn a lot more about those as they go through high school.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson. Mr. Thayer, can you go over the competitive educational pathway?
Sure thing. So, like we had mentioned before, the 24 credits. As you can see with the competitive educational pathway, what you have is 3 years for math, but with that competitive university, they're looking for that 4th year. They're looking for a 4th year of science, when the state only wants you to have 3, multiple years of world language. So it really kind of gives you a they're going to dig deeper for kind of that educational aspect for your kid. AP classes, advanced placement classes. Your kid actually has the option in 9th grade to take AP environmental science. AP generally starts in 10th grade. So, and they are exactly that, advanced placement. So they have the opportunity at the end of the year to take a test to actually get college credit. If they score 3, 4, or 5 on that AP test, they will earn that college credit. So a competitive educational institution, they're going to look for a minimum of 4 to 5 AP courses in any sort of extracurricular activities, sports, leadership, class officers, any sort of volunteer experience that you do, whether it's through any sort of church or any sort of kind of anything that you guys belong to, and in early college contact. So it's making sure that you're looking at those colleges around your junior year, making sure that you're taking the kind of the AP, the pre-sats and stuff like that.
Cliff, can you just go back real quick? I just want to add just one thing. Most folks, when they think competitive university, we mentioned earlier, we put in that, we put on our slide earlier, colleges like Stanford or Ivy League schools. In Washington State, the most challenging university to get into is the University of Washington, Seattle campus. Hands down, it is the most competitive. It's because of the volume of people that apply to that university. So we encourage, for those families that are really looking at that university or other competitive out-of-state universities, or have a mind bent towards that, or a real goal towards that, early college contact with admissions counseling offices, even as beginning in 9th grade, is the way to go. They won't give you a lot of information. They're not going to tell you a yes or no for sure what to do. You know, they can't do that. But putting your name out there and reaching out to those admissions counselors is a good step to go for those families that are looking into that pursuit. And then also, if you can visit those college campuses, it's also another huge thing to think about. Ms. Nelson?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we have college visits and college fairs at Orting High School that your students will be able to take advantage of. And they are certainly welcome to attend any of those college visits as freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. It doesn't matter. We want the kids to get to know their college reps.
And so I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the 4-year college educational pathway, like the overview. So if your student, your family is really thinking about wanting to go to a 4-year university, competitive state school, and I don't want to minimize Washington state schools either, that, you know, the more students that are looking at different real specialized careers or specialty degrees, they are competitive programs at state schools too. So having that conversation with your counselors early so we can set you up for success and help you find that information is always super important. That 4th year of math is going to be critical. And that 4th year of math can look, as we're not going to go through the big graphic again, but it can look a lot of different ways for different students based on where they are right now and what their decisions are as they go through high school. But it also, their senior year, it can be a quantitative based science, which means a math-based science. So looking at physics or chemistry or an AP computer science principles or programming class can also count as that fourth year math for a senior. Also when you look at sciences, if a student really wants to go in the healthcare field, wants to go to med school or PT school, again, really competitive, looking at how do you build your high school transcript so it shows that you're really serious about that. You look at that fourth year science, and that's really encouraged. We have some awesome biotech and, like I mentioned before, physics and chemistry. We have a lot of AP. So, and then looking at AP courses, college and the high school, and Running Start. And I'm going to let Ms. Nelson talk about Running Start, but specifically the college and the high school, to know, without going in great depth, that it's an awesome opportunity that Orting High Schools just keeps increasing every year, that by taking a course, a high school course, they also actually become a college student with Eastern or Central at this point, or University of Washington with computer science. And it gives a lot of different opportunities beyond just AP courses.
Thanks. Just for a time check for presenters here, we're at 6:30. I'd like to finish up in the next 15 minutes or so we have opportunity for some parent questions. All right, next slide. We're at registration timeline.
So, come back. So looking at our incoming freshmen, that's all of you. I know there's been a little bit of confusion. All of your students have been sent their Skyward password and login information, and also an invite to join a Google Class Meet. All of our freshmen, incoming freshmen, you all are going to register during your science classes. So while you're in your science classes on Monday and Tuesday, March 15th and 16th, you will join me virtually. We will go through the whole process of picking your courses, adding your electives. One thing as a freshman, and you'll get more choice as you get to be a senior, your English, your science, your PE and health, and math is kind of dictated of where you're at and what you need to do for graduation. So we preload a lot of those. So you're going to be looking specifically at what your elective courses you want to take, the things you get to choose. New student orientation, I don't have a date yet. That's coming in August, hoping we're more normal, less COVID, and that we'll be able to bring you onto campus. We will have our leadership teams, our ASB, our bands, our sports, and our clubs, and our honor society. Our whole current upperclassmen will meet you, tour you, show you around, and let you have an experience in August before the first day of school. You'll get that information in the mail and on social media. Also, just to reassure you that anyone that has any kind of academic plans, special considerations, IEPs, 504, high cap, special needs of any sort or information, our OMS and OHS teams meet a couple times before the end of this school year to transfer information, and we'll also reach out to you specifically just to make sure that your child is set up and ready with whatever plan or needs they have as they come to OHS. Next. So I kind of talked about that, the Skyward process. The ninth graders are going to be registering through Skyward. That is not open yet. So if you're in there trying to register for next year, you're not going to be able to do that till the 15th and the 16th. And you'll join me in a meet, and we'll go through what the electives are. You can ask me questions about the courses. You can look at different things. Just make sure you've joined those Google Meets. So when you get into your science class on those 2 days, you'll be able to easily register.
Just real quick, we had a couple questions in the chat. Mr. Freeze, we might want to just stop and address. They're kind of specific to registration. So one is, what if I'm an option B student, Mrs. Smith? Will I register? How will that work since I don't have a sign? Kind of talk about that. Miss
Joy is going to take, I think there's about 30 eighth graders that are in option B, and you will get a special invite to one of those class periods to join me in that during that time.
I can answer the question. Oh, go ahead, Cliff.
Yeah, new students to the district. New students to the district, when you register, you'll be contacting, you'll have an individual one-on-one meeting with our high school counselors where they intake you on what was your last transcript, and we want to intake you into the school in person or at least in a Google Meet. Those are done one by one for new students. They're not part of this registration process.
We had a couple questions about fall. Everyone's starting in person in September, Monday through Friday. Another question about standard class times after pandemic schedule. Our hope is that in fall and September, this all goes away and we're back to normal. So there's no. I think we all 5 of us on this screen would like to have students back with a regular schedule in September. I wish we knew the answer to that question right now, but we don't. So our goal will be to have things return to as normal as possible. Absolutely. So just as a heads up, but no answer on that right now. We do not know an answer. Tracy, you asked a question. Okay, there you go. Cliff answered it. Got it. Okay, moving on. We'll go to the next slide, Mr. Freeze. So just a couple things to talk about as you talk with have those conversations at home. Course considerations, advanced placement. We have AP Computer Science, AP Environmental Science, and AP Human Geography. If we have the staffing to offer it and enough students sign up for those advanced placement courses in 9th grade, we can offer those courses. They are college level courses taught by a high school teacher on the high school campus. So the way that what makes that nice is it's not a college professor who doesn't know the kids and isn't available after school to support kids or throughout the day or the life of a student. It's not like it's a college adjunct professor. They take care of the kids. College in the high school is more available to our upper level students. That would be more in your junior and senior year, but that is where a student can enroll in an AP course. And so I don't want to bog you down with all the details on this now because your incoming 9th grader won't be at that place in 9th grade to get that college credit unless something changes between now and next year. But right now we don't have any college in the high school access in 9th grade. And that's where they take a class on the high school campus, and they become literally a student at Eastern or Central, which are our 2 partner universities. And right now we're with UW for the computer science class. So they literally get a college transcript from UW, Eastern, or Central. But there's a cost associated with that. Again, don't want to bog you down with the details right now, but just know that will be available to your students in future years of high school. World languages, we offer Spanish and sign language. Remember that competitive university track. If you're thinking I want to go to a UW Seattle or out of state, a more competitive university, we are going to encourage 3 years of a world language rather than the required 2. So those students might choose to take world languages in their freshman year because they want to get started on that track.
Okay, and I want to talk a little bit about Running Start and the Pierce County Skill Center. Some of you guys have asked about Running Start. Running Start is a program that's designed for students who are grades 11 and 12 to go to a college campus to do college coursework. It's a really good idea for your student if they do want to do Running Start, that they get their world language done in 9th and 10th grade, and that they fulfill their full PE requirement before they begin Running Start. There's also entrance requirements to Running Start. There's a Running Start parent and student night that we do every March. And it's mandatory if you want your student to attend Running Start. We advertise it so you would get a heads up on that before time. The Skill Center is very similar in requirements to Running Start. However, it's more open. It's not as, how do I put this? There isn't a test that you need to take to get into the Skill Center where there is assessment to get into Running Start. The best thing if you want your student to go to the Pierce County Skill Center as an incoming junior is to make sure that they've completed their world language, the 2 full years, and the PE as well. Although some of the Skill Center coursework does offer some PE, it depends on the program. But the art requirement is also really important to have completed before you think about sending your student to the Skill Center for junior year.
I'm gonna talk real quick about the importance of co-curricular activities. I also want to alert those of you in the chat. I put the link to the Pierce County Skills Center, and I've also put the link to the Orting High School webpage. And if you scroll to the bottom of the Orting High School counseling webpage, you will find our course description guide. which has all of the courses that we teach at Ording High School. The kids will get the course description guide in their registration materials, correct, Mrs. Smith?
It's already in there.
It's already in there. Perfect. So that's a place for your kids to open up and look, but then parents, you can also go to our school district, and that guide has a lot of the information we've talked about tonight is another reference for you to go in and read. The Skills Center, I could talk for this about hours, but Mr. Freeze wants to be done to do Q&A. The Skills Center, an incredible program. It's think of it as a technical college for high school students. They're vocational training programs. So if I'm going to just highlight some things, there's an incredible aerospace partnership through Boeing, Pacific Corporation, and Torrey, where students can go through a 2-year program, welding, machining, composite fabrication, and then get interviews. They had made a commitment to have interviews for everyone straight out of that program. They're 18 years old, seniors graduating, to get interviews with aerospace industry. There's also an automotive training program. So people that want to go into automotive mechanics, there's construction. So if a student wants to get into the trades, plumbing, electrical, framing, there's a culinary program, and the Skills Center, Vet Tech. There's so many, and that's why we encourage you to go to the website. Again, it's available in your junior and senior year. And we have career and technical education classes at the high school that are all streamlined to build skills towards some of the programs at the Skills Center. Unfortunately, we're not a big enough, I don't think any high school, quite frankly, would be big enough to have a program, a feeder program for every program at the Skills Center. But we have certainly have some wonderful CTE programs here that your kids can participate in to connect to the Skills Center programs. Co-curricular activities, just real big message here is—
Before you start that, Matt,
yeah.
One note on the Skills Center. I get a question a lot. Why don't we have shop anymore in school? Why'd you guys get rid of shop? What we did is we didn't get rid of shop. So if we were to have a shop class, being a small school, we'd have a couple kids that want to maybe be a framer, a couple kids that want to be a plumber, a couple kids that want to just be hands-on. Instead, we joined the Pierce County Skills Center, and it's a multi-million-dollar facility that can do things we could never do. They're using vacuum machining to vacuum form carbon fiber. They're welding, they're TIG welding with welders that we could never afford. So we just became part of that and pay into that so that we can have a much more robust experience for our kids. So it's not that we don't teach those things in school anymore. We just kind of stepped up to a much higher level for those careers.
Yeah, and I'll just segue back real quick. Co-curricular activities, just the big message here is high school's better when you're involved. And we have tried really hard to have something for every type of student. If they're not into sports, we have so many clubs and activities. We have CTE clubs and activities that compete regionally and at the state level, and things like Family Consumer Science, Future Business Leaders of America. We've even developed our Future Farmers of America, and our greenhouse is built, and we hope to, when we get back, to build our FFA program, which is going to be incredible. So there's going to be so many ways for your kids to get involved, and we will advertise to them, and as parents, just encourage them. Like I said, sports, if your kid loves sports, we'll have a sport hopefully for them to play here. If they, in some cases we don't have every sport, but if they like, if they want to get involved in a club or activity, we just encourage them to get involved in Cardinal culture.
Right, so questions for families. You guys can unmic if you want questions, or you can go in the chat either way. I just want to give opportunity for primarily or parents and also students if you have questions. We always have, there's no question that's too small or silly. Some people want to know, do you have badminton or do we play football? What are the things we have? Those are all questions that are totally welcome now. So James, to your point, yeah. So our business departments, you kind of choose. It's kind of a Ford Chevy at this point. Whether you go with a DECA route or FBLA, we've chose FBLA. DECA is also a very high quality program. Just our current business program is running through FBLA, but who knows in the future? Is there a school newspaper? There's not a school newspaper. There hasn't been one in a number of years. We do have a school annual and a robust ELA program, but no, we don't have a school newspaper per se. But I'm open. We have a student who's currently trying to start a new school news station, which I'm looking forward to this upcoming year. Yes, you can get a waiver for cheerleading. The list of electives that are available to freshmen can be found in that Google Classroom, where you guys will find the course catalog that has all of our electives. Is there school on the 15th? Oh, middle school? Yeah, you guys are going to be on your virtual schedule, so you're going to switch to periods 1 through 6 on your normal schedule. So you got to wake up early and show up to school by 7:55 to first period. Can you learn another language, only Spanish or ASL? Yeah, right now we only have Spanish and ASL. Really, that's dictated by the languages our teachers can teach, right? So I'd love to have German or French, and if a teacher shows up that can speak one of those and get certified, we teach that. We do have a little bit of an option to do some stuff online. We've had a kid learn French online the last year. Penny, you got an answer for one of those?
Yeah, I was just going to say some of our students who do Running Start opt to do a foreign language because they offer, at the college, they offer Korean, German, oh my gosh, French, tons and a lot more languages than we could offer or other school districts could offer.
Okay, so cruising along here. No, we don't offer driver's ed. Mr. Galante, schools don't offer those anymore. That was going back, harking back to my days. Will there be a link for kids to join on the 15th for registration? Yes, there will. That'll be in your Google Classroom, correct, Shelley?
And actually, every student freshman has been sent to their school email, their Skyward information, and a direct link to that this week. So have your student look in their email.
Sounds like Miss Hannes has added that to her classroom stream as well. Miss Mashoff, can my daughter take French elsewhere and get credit? That's a yes and a no. There is board policy that allows you to get credit different ways, and it's more complicated. Short answer is yes, that is a possibility. Any information on cheerleading? I don't have specific cheerleading tryout information. I know it hasn't happened yet. You can contact, oh my gosh, how did I blank on our cheer coach's name? Matt? Oh my gosh.
Carly Bowers.
I couldn't think of Bowers. And her email will be bowersk@ording.wednet.edu. She works at our middle school for any information on cheer. Cross countries, yes, all sports are available for 9th graders. There's no sports that are limited to any grade. My dad can speak German and Russian and recommend those languages. Yeah, those would be cool. Both Germanic languages. It's awesome. Yeah. Is there a place on school website to find what courses are offered at the Skills Center? Yeah, the link to Pierce County Skills Center is on our counseling website. But if you scroll up in the chat, Mr. Carlson puts that in there so you can click on that. Or just Google Pierce County Skills Center. Where do we learn more about clubs and activities available? That will be at your freshman academy. It's on our school website. And not freshman academy, freshman orientation. And that'll also come up inside the Google Classroom.
Just so you know, the reason for that is because our clubs and activities are always evolving. So we know what we're offering this year, but like we've had 2 teachers approach us with club ideas for the fall that would be brand new clubs. So we'll update the list and then get that out to all the students in the fall with what's available, what days they meet, who the advisor is, and how to reach out. We have probably, this is not normal times because of pandemic and all that, but in our normal time, we probably have close to 20 clubs and activities beyond sports that meet on a consistent basis here at Ording High School. It's pretty incredible.
And they're still competing and doing things right now, even virtually.
Yeah, our clubs are student-centered, so students are the ones that create the clubs. There's an ASB process where if a student can get 20 people to sign a form, they can start their own ASB club. There is a robotics club through our STEM classes and also a STEM class and a very robust computer science program to back that up. Currently today, we're flying planes inside of the shop that they designed and laser cut wings out of. Can you take extra class in the summer to get half a credit? Yes, we do have a summer school that offers half credit, and also Pierce County Skills Center offers a summer school that has elective credit.
And
thanks for that.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say the Pierce County Skills Center, after spring break, typically, and again, not typical times, but it should be, I've been told they're going to offer the programs again. Hopefully they're not online. Really, honestly, I hope that they're in person this summer. Last summer, they had to move everything to online. But after spring break, the Skills Center will advertise summer school 3-week courses that your 8th grader rolling up to 9th grade can take ahead of their 9th grade year and earn high school credit during summer. It's a great program. 3-week courses, last summer was all online. Normally they're in person, and they're hosted at either the Skills Center or different high school campuses around our region, just as a heads up.
Signing up for sports, that'll happen in August. You can sign up for sports. That'll be on our Ordinary High School webpage. Just hit athletics and it'll take you to something called Family ID. Same place you signed up for sports in the middle school. Zero period for weights. We have had that in the past. The football coach loves running that. So we most likely will continue to have kids lifting weights before school starts.
Whether we offer it as a class though is contingent on our staffing and our budget and all that good stuff. So we don't know until we get all this, until we go through that whole process. And usually that's been available mostly to upperclassmen, not to freshmen. So just as a heads up, we don't have freshmen do 0 hour in their 9th grade year, mostly because they don't drive to school. If there was an exception to that, a parent could reach out to the teacher or like a coach and work with administration on that.
Yeah, and right now we have 0 hour jazz band as well. Kristen, STEM classes stand for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Think robots building cool stuff that climbs, drives, flies, and blows up. Culinary, yes, we have a very robust culinary program. We're currently remodeling our culinary program to kind of come into modern times. So we have more of a home ec model where you have little individual residential kitchens, and we're moving that to a full commercial kitchen setup and spending dollars to get up to speed with local connection with Baxter just outside of town. What else? Matt, if I'm missing in, just jump in.
We're doing good. With the recording,
US history if I pass from middle school. Yeah, you have to take US history in both middle school and high school. They're required at both places.
and the recording for this meeting will be.
History does count from your middle school. That does roll up. That is a high school requirement. So that does get put on your high school transcript.
It's just not a credit, which gets a little confusing. It's what the state calls a graduation requirement, a milestone that goes on the transcript, but it's not for credit, which is a very confusing concept sometimes.
Andrew Moore, if you check the course description in the Google Classroom and or on the website that Mr. Carlson linked there, you can see descriptions of each of the courses. You can also reach out to a counselor and they give you more details. Will there be an actual play done for drama? Yeah, we have multiple plays a year. Well, except for this year. We have 1 to 3 plays each year. We started a drama program 4 years ago, and we've had a musical and play every year since then, with the exception of this year. Passing 8th grade, considering, what about passing 8th grade with considering online school? I'm not sure what you mean on that one. You need to pass 8th grade. That's important. Get your grades up. Logan, okay. Culinary and band, Emily, based on the schedule and availability, but yeah, there's no problem with taking both those. Do we have any kind of outline worksheet that we use to plan classes with 8th graders? Yeah, that's part of the work that the counselors are going to do with the students, where they kind of think about what do you want to do with your future, and what blanks do you have, and how do you do that? So that'll be part of what's called Zello for the next 4 years, that you guys will digitally keep updating that plan for where you want to go through their Zello link. And you can get on Zello now, and if you want to get on that, we could do that. Matt, am I missing anything? Those of you that are coming for the 11, 12 meeting, we're just finishing up freshmen. You're fine to stick around, but we're answering some last minute questions.
Adam had a question that I think is really unique. So if I was in side-by-side math in middle school and didn't get to take social studies or the Washington State history piece of social studies, what will we do? We do have an option for that. It's through Edgenuity is what we've currently shifted that to. And it's a short unit where the students can do that in high school to meet that benchmark. And we have that happen a lot because we have students that transfer, and it's a state requirement. So students that transfer from out of state or students who fail that course in middle school are required still to do that. So it's something, so if they didn't have access to it in middle school, or weren't successful in it, we have that option available through the online curriculum, and it's a short unit that they do of Washington State history recovery.
So I have one question that I want to let Hayden ask his question, because he just has hand raised. Option B, or a straight online model through Edgenuity, will be an option most likely if families still have a major concern and COVID is still a major concern in a health pandemic situation. We'll probably have option B. If not, then we'll move away from that and we'll have a little stricter filters. But we have had online school for over a decade at Orting High School. Hayden, you have your hand raised. What do you got for me?
So I know prior to the whole COVID pandemic thing, that there was this one program that allowed high school students to go into like elementary school classes and help them. Is that an option when we get back into kind of the after pandemic thing?
Absolutely, Caden. We have kids, we call them peer tutors, that go down into the elementary and help our elementary schools. Yes, we have that available, and I'm excited to hear you ask about it. So when you get here, come talk to me about that. All right. Oh, yeah. Savage Gamer, thank you for that. Yeah.
One thing I want to say, if there's any parents on the line, and Mrs. Smith alluded to this earlier, normally on this night, we're here in person and we stick around as late as we need to answer your individual questions. I just want to say this, a lot of times those questions are about unique learning needs that your student has, and I want to just help you all know some things that we do strategically to support every student as they transition is our administration between the middle school and high school, our counseling teams, our special education departments. We meet in the spring multiple times and we go kid by kid to make sure every potential academic placement need is considered and taken care of. It's something we've learned over the last couple of years how to do much better, and we continue to improve at it. But if that's a concern that you have about placement, making sure the right courses, so if they're on an IEP, a 504, any other specific learning needs, my recommendation would be to start with your case manager at the middle school. So that might be your school counselor, your case manager. Make sure your concerns are noted there so that they can accurately communicate those concerns to us and that we can place them. And then I would also say, if you have questions, our counselors are going to be working overtime for the next month. So it is a long process. When we go through this registration process, it is not, there's no high pressure to get this right on March 15th and 16th or you're done. It is a process that unfolds over a couple months. So the first registration dates are the initial data. But if you change, if a student needs to change their mind or there's some new information that comes to light in April, you can reach out to our counseling team or to Mr. Freeze and myself and give us a heads up so that we can make any adjustments that are needed. So just so you know, so we really do spread this process out. Please understand that if our counselors are overwhelmed, or Mr. Freeze and I are a little bit, have a lot going on in the next couple months, we'll get back to each one of you with your questions as you bring them to us. Does that make sense? And thank you.
Yeah, we'll end on this. I want you to know that we've gotten an award multiple times for Pierce County for being having the highest success rate for freshmen. One of the indicators for those numbers they give you at the beginning of the presentation is freshman success rate. So we have a really high success rate for our freshmen. So know that your kiddos and you eighth graders that are here, you're going to a great place that takes care of your freshmen. So have a great day and thank you. So if you're a freshman or a freshman parent, you can go ahead and leave this meeting now. I gave those emails so you can contact any of us. And if you're a parent of a future 10th, 11th, or 12th grader, stick around. Obviously, any freshman parent that wants to stick around, you're more than welcome. But this will be information for next year's 10th, 11th, and 12th graders.
And we're going to go ahead and end the recording of the freshman meeting at this time. And we will notify everyone when we begin recording of the 9th, 10th, 11th grade meeting. So we're going to go ahead and end the recording.